There was a brutal killer who operated in South Africa between the 1980s and the 1990s. His name was Ezekiel, but he was known on the streets as the Station Strangler. That was because he would specifically target train stations to find his victims. He would then lure them away from the busy areas of the station to isolated spots where he would assault and murder them. And it's believed that he may have claimed more than 20 lives during this time. It's said that he would specifically target young boys. He would also strike at different times of the day, meaning that people of all ages were potentially at risk. But it wasn't just people traveling by train that he would attack. It was also commuters who were just passing through the station. So what did Ezekiel look like? How did he lure these boys away, and what did the police do to catch him? Let's find out. Although the Station Strangler got his name from the locations of his crimes, he didn't necessarily look like someone who would come from a railway background. In fact, he looked quite well put together. He was always smartly dressed and was often seen wearing a hat and sunglasses. This made him look very sophisticated and is probably what made his victims feel like they could trust him. The victims were usually approached by Ezekiel while they were walking near the train tracks. He would then engage them in conversation. Sometimes he would compliment them or ask them for directions. Other times he would try to sell them something. Whatever the approach, the victim would be none the wiser as to the true nature of this man. Once he had engaged with his victim, he would then take them away from the hustle and bustle of the train station to a quieter place where he could attack them. Unfortunately, this is where things got very sinister. Strangulation was one of the Station Strangler's preferred methods of killing. As his name suggests, he would also use other means to take his victims' lives, and when he was done, he would then mutilate their bodies. It was for this reason that many people believed that the Station Strangler was not only a killer, but a serial killer. He would choose secluded areas close to the train tracks to dump his victims' bodies. And because he struck at different times of the day, it meant that for a long time the police were unable to link the crimes together. For instance, he would sometimes attack his victims at night, but then other times he would do it in broad daylight. As the years went on, however, the police did begin to suspect that there was a serial killer operating in the area. They had no concrete evidence to link any of the crimes together, but they noticed similarities in the way that each victim had been killed. Eventually, they even put together a profile of the killer, which gave them an idea of what kind of person they were dealing with. They believed that he was someone who was well educated and came from a middle-class background. They also believed that he was employed and that he lived alone. These deductions helped the police narrow down their search, but it still wasn't enough to catch him. In the end, it was a combination of factors that led to Ezekiel's arrest. For starters, the media had picked up on the story and were reporting on it. This meant that people were on the lookout and more witnesses came forward. The police were then able to build up a stronger case, which eventually led to them getting a warrant to carry out a search. When they searched Ezekiel's home, they found several items that linked him to the crimes, although it's not been revealed what these items are. It's believed that they were some of the personal belongings of the victims. During his trial, it emerged that Ezekiel had a history of mental illness. His defense team argued that this made him unfit to stand trial. However, the judge ruled that he was fit to stand trial and was sentenced to 105 years in prison. It's believed that the Station Strangler got his name from the locations of his crimes, meaning that he may have actually claimed many more lives than we will ever know about.